Welcome back to the show. We got a great health and wellness day for you today. We're going to kick it off with thinking about gout today. And Dr. Joël, I think this is something we've all heard about.
Yes.
And I think something we've even joked about, but it's a very serious issue. What is gout exactly?
Well, gout is a buildup of uric acid in joints, and it's a form of arthritis, actually.
Okay.
And usually it affects the big toe joint, but it gets to the point where it's so debilitating that people can't walk and they can't move when they have gout. So it's extremely painful.
You mentioned uric acid. What exactly is that?
Well, when you eat foods, your protein is broken down into something called purines and uric acid. And if your body has too much proteins, or you're not digesting your proteins properly, well, then you get an excess buildup of uric acid in the body. Body doesn't know what to do with it. And if the kidneys and the liver aren't clearing it properly, then it just gets deposited in joints.
Joël, you mentioned that this is a form of arthritis. So are these things that you're saying with regards to the gout, with the purine and the uric acid, is this also true in basic arthritis when we feel those joint issues?
No, that's the difference.
Okay.
Is that it's not necessarily a buildup of uric acid.
Okay, so that's it. Okay, so let's get into some of the details of this. What causes this?
Well,
like obviously but is there other things like exercise-wise? Are we doing things to our joints to cause it as well?
That's a great question, because also purines will be formed and uric acid will be formed when cells break down. So when you're exercising, the normal process is that you exercise, you're breaking down some muscle tissue, and then there's a repair process. That's why it's not necessarily a great thing to exercise every day, because the body needs that repair time. If the body is breaking down too many cells and those organ systems aren't really strong, then again, you're going to get excess uric acid being built up.
And I was really intrigued because reading a little bit up on it, sleep apnea has a connection to this as well.
Yes.
What's that connection?
Okay, I found this fascinating too, because when your body doesn't get enough oxygen, let's say asthma, sleep apnea, or being overweight, what happens is you get an increased circumference of your neck, which decreases the airflow to your body, which causes cellular breakdown. And when cells break down, then we get increased uric acid.
Wow. Are there some other things that are connected that way that would be surprising? I mean, sleep apnea, who would have thought? You know, I mean, we don't often, we always think when we have joint issues that it's got to be something with how we're using it, you know, physically, or what we're eating or whatever.
Exactly. Well, actually, hypothyroidism, post-polio syndrome, diabetes, all of these conditions, again, wherever there's cellular breakdown, there is increased risk of gout. Yeah.
So what are some of those symptoms that we're looking for?
Okay, well, the first thing is a person's going to usually wake up overnight with excruciating pain. And you're going to see redness, you're going to see swelling, and you're really going to see a deformity around that large toe. And the average age of, it tends to affect men more. There's very few women that are before menopause that actually get gout. It affects 1% of the population, but I think that statistic is going up. And so if you get gout and you're less than 47, again, it means that you're overeating, you're overindulging, and your systems aren't working optimally. Digestion and detox systems.
I was really surprised to read how severe the pain can be for nothing. From nothing. I mean, you get it, and I guess if you let it go, it can really be really be painful.
It really can be. I've heard of people having to cancel trips, having to take time off work. That's how excruciating the pain is.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, well, what can we do about it? Let's say somebody's thinking, oh, she's talking about me. I'm experiencing this. I mean, can it be reversed? Can it be controlled? What are our options?
Absolutely. Again, gout was typically called the wealthy man's disease because it's overindulgence. So the first thing is let's take a look at your diet, and let's just help you trim off anything that's going to break down cells, that's going to create acidity in the body. Let's do a detox.
And you said mostly proteins.
Primarily proteins is the issue. Yeah, exactly. And then what we're going to do is we're going to do a detox. We're also going to look at how can you manage the pain, because from a medical doctor's perspective, they'll prescribe a pain medication. One of the simplest things that one of my friends did is I suggested just a tablespoon of baking soda daily. And he said within hours of taking the baking soda, the pain had reduced.
Orally?
orally. So just mix it with water. I mean, baking soda is the least expensive all-purpose product.
Yeah. What's happening chemically there? Is it a pH thing?
It is, yeah. So what's happening is it's neutralizing the uric acid, which helps to reduce the pain. So another simple thing that you could do is apple cider vinegar. So again, the idea is using 2 tablespoons in a glass of water. Do that every morning. Lemon juice has the exact same effect. So, you know, baking soda, lemon juice, or using, what else did I just say? Lemon juice.
Apple cider vinegar.
Apple cider vinegar, thank you. Any one of those 3 have the same effect. Then when we start getting into food items, black cherry juice is a great antioxidant and again helps the body clear things. So is a really commonly used natural treatment.
If you don't treat it, what are the long-term effects?
What'll happen is you will have your gout for X number of weeks and then it'll just keep on coming back.
Okay.
And again, if you can imagine, you know, having these phases where you're having these pockets of waking up with excruciating pain, it certainly would impact your lifestyle.
Let's talk about, you mentioned some nutritional ways that we can counteract this. What about physical, physiotherapy, acupuncture?
Yeah.
Is it the same type of thing, or?
Yes, again,
it's all done?
Anything that you can do to help break down help to promote and support the body cleaning out the breakdown tissues. So ultrasound is going to be helpful, acupuncture is going to be helpful, Bowen therapy is also going to be helpful. Another one of my friends, this happened to him only when he became extremely tired. He'd been working, and his father had a history of having gout, and then sure enough, that's when he got his gout.
You mentioned earlier that it affects more men than women. Is there a reason for that?
Yeah, you know what? I think that it primarily has to do with body chemistry. I think also it has to do with diet. Men tend to have a higher protein base, that kind of lots of steak and the bigger size.
Guilty as charged.
I think it's a combination of things, and you know, perhaps the link hasn't been made, but there's probably a hormonal base, because if we think about women then developing it after menopause, that's when their hormones go down. So it probably has to do with a hormonal ratio.
Once we've cured a bout of gout, are we done with it, or do we have to be very careful once we have it?
Okay. Yeah, if you've had it once, you really need to work preventatively to make sure that it's not reoccurring.
You mentioned that you know, if somebody wakes up with this, you know, excruciating pain, and it will remain that way if it's not controlled. Are there certain levels, like, you know, I joked earlier on saying that my husband complains that he has gout, and maybe he does, because it is in his big toe, and he is, like, obviously tired all the time from the dancing. So could he have a mild version that could then be reversed?
Yes, yes, it could very well be. Again, if it is the big toe, if there's a family history, if that's what he's feeling, it probably is a milder version. So my recommendation...
Same remedies.
Yeah, my recommendation for him would be a quarter of a lemon in water every day, and perhaps adding a half a teaspoon of baking soda. He doesn't need to go quite as high because we're working preventatively. But for him as well, he's got injury. He's probably on his feet. There's probably a lot of...
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm sure that has a relationship too.
Excellent. Always great to sit down with you. Thank you so much. This is your latest newsletter, I'm guessing?
It is. It is the latest,
So if you want to find out more information, visit www.optihealth.ca. You should sign up for the newsletter. It's fantastic information. You get sent one once a month, and it's great information. Listen, don't go away.